All right. Welcome to the newest episode of Herbie Sports Talk. Thank you guys for joining in. As always, Tyler, Big Herbie Herbach. Across the table, we have Travis, Little Herbie Herbach.
Yep.
Today, we have a very special episode.
For multiple reasons, actually.
So, one, we are celebrating. We are celebrating Gonzaga's amazing win last night.
Yeah.
Jalen Suggs at the shot tournament, which we'll get to. But more importantly, we are celebrating Travis's engagement.
Yep.
Last night, Travis became a man. Got down on the knee.
Got down on the knee. Tyler said I'm now not Little Herbie, I'm now Medium Herbie.
He's growing up. He's Medium Herbie.
We're not going to stick with that because it's absolutely ridiculous to say. But also, we do have our first ever guest host or guest star on the show. One of the longtime friend of Tyler's, known me my entire life. Connor, he's down in Florida. He'll be zoomed in on YouTube, so you'll see his face on YouTube. But audio-wise, you'll hear him as well. He's going to join us and help go over some March Madness with us.
Just a little background on Connor here real quick. This is the most fanatic Gonzaga men's basketball fan I know. And he's obsessive on college basketball. He told me before the tournament started that he had seen games of 64 of the 68 teams in the tournament. It's obsessive. But that's great for us. We're going to take advantage of his obsession.
Yep.
So, Connor, introduce yourself after that great intro for us.
Tyler, look, obviously, long time, first time. You know how it goes in podcast land. Avid listener, first time guest. First of all, the congratulations go to Travis. Like I said before we started this, Travis, it doesn't matter how many big life decisions you make. You're gonna get old. You're gonna have a bunch of kids. You're gonna grow old. You're still like a 13-year-old little snot-nosed kid to me. It's gonna be.
Yep.
It's never gonna change from the days of playing pool in the basement with Tyler for like $1.50 that we put on that pool table and play. You're just still gonna be that kid.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay.
All right, that's just how it goes.
That's okay.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this. All right? So, real recap of the Elite Eight. So, just because we didn't get to do it last time, we didn't do very good. Just to be completely honest. Our Elite Eight was rough. We got 3 of the 8 teams correct. And we actually did better than 5-4. We had 2 of the 4 correct. And we went 50% in 5-4 in the championship game. 1 correct on each. Or
Yep.
2.
Yeah, 2 out of 4 on the Final Four, 1 out of the 2 in the championship game that plays tomorrow night.
Yep. So, we're not going to go into Elite Eight games, but let's definitely jump into the Final Four game. Let's start with Baylor-Houston, the first game yesterday. I mean, Baylor wiped the fucking floor with Houston. I don't know any other way of putting it.
Yeah, it was disgusting in all areas. Baylor dominant from beginning to end.
Yeah.
That Houston defense that we've been talking about all March Madness since the very beginning had no say.
Yeah.
It couldn't get a stop to save their lives.
Connor, you want to jump in here? Connor?
Yeah?
You want to jump in?
You want my thoughts on that?
Yes, I want to hear. That's why you're here. You're not just here to
My thoughts
listen.
are that Houston is the team we kind of thought they were, right? Like they're good, but are they good because of who they played? Like we're kind of like, to me, Houston is like what people think Gonzaga is. They played like a schedule that was terrible. They lost a game to freaking Tulane at some point this season, right? And East Carolina. They lost some horrible games, right? But they're good. They didn't play anybody, so I think their defensive metrics were a little overblown, in my opinion. Like, the Houston team we saw is a little bit more indicative of who I think that they probably were. I think the NCAA tournament does tend to do this to teams, right? You really do find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I like, Baylor wipes them up, but I don't. What's scary about it is what Baylor scored yesterday, 78 something, 8 points.
78, yeah.
They hit 10 threes, and it was like, it looked easy. I think the thing with Houston is, like, they just don't score as well as their defense is supposed to be. So what we're seeing, in my opinion, in the NCAA tournament is these teams that have, like, elite defenses, like we saw with USC, right, UCLA last night, like, we're seeing games in the 90s. It's because some of these offenses are so damn good, it does not matter who the defenses are. They're just lighting people up. Like, Baylor's lighting people up. Gonzaga's lighting people up. Like, Michigan was playing well. Like, I think Houston, it's such a tough matchup. Like, here's the thing. Houston's the team that Gonzaga would have liked to play. I think if we were looking at the Final Four, we all would have said we would have rather played Houston because UCLA was so hot and they have the 2 wings and like it is what it is. But it is impressive that Baylor just continues to just roll teams. I mean, if we are talking about a national championship game and the team we all like, here's how I feel about it honestly, right? Like we all can say out loud, "Oh man, we want to see Baylor Gonzaga." All Gonzaga fans everywhere were like, I hope to God we don't see Baylor. That means that's the team that like is most likely to beat us. So I don't feel great about it, and we'll see. But they're good. I mean, they are deep and they shoot the hell out of the ball.
Yeah,
it's scary.
They're extremely scary. And yesterday's game against Houston was like one of the first time in the entire tournament they actually started to hit from the outside.
Yeah, they were 11 for 24, 46% from 3-point.
Yeah. And they were one of the leaders in over the course of the season in 3-point shooting at like 48%.
Yeah.
Like they're lethal from outside, and they finally started to hit against Houston, and they continue to hit against Gonzaga. It could be a long night for all Zags fans.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, there's not much a whole bunch to say about the Final Four games. We all just watched them a day or so ago. I mean, obviously we can talk. Let's hit the UCLA Gonzaga game just because. That shot, I mean, the whole game in general was one of the best games we've seen in the last decade in the NCAA tournament. And that shot's going to go down in history as one of the shots that gets played every time March Madness starts coming around, every season it comes around. That shot in that game will be talked about. The issue I'm seeing here when you look at the Gonzaga-Baylor game is that Kenny Smith said after he thinks we're going to see the exact same type of game, Gonzaga-Baylor. I don't think we're going to see that type of game. It's not going to be that hard-nosed, I feel like. There's matchups here that are unfortunate for both sides of the team. Where UCLA, I think, was more even across the board, player to player, player to player.
Tougher matchups.
So I think that's why the overtime, that game-wrenching, last-minute win. Baylor Gonzaga, is going to be more of a when somebody pulls ahead in that final 3, 4, 5 minutes left in the fourth, is going to stick in that lead, I think. Somebody's going to pull it. I mean, it might be a 5-point win, not like a buzzer, but it's not going to be a buzzer beater like we saw against UCLA.
I definitely think that it's going to be more of an open game. I mean, both Baylor can play very, very good defense, but both teams are so good offensively. I could see this absolutely being a very fast-paced game, and I could see it being high-scoring, which we haven't seen a high-scoring national championship game in forever. But I think we could finally see that this year with these two teams.
Yeah.
Look, if we're going to compare it to the UCLA game, it's not going to happen. I texted Tyler throughout the UCLA game like, oh, Gonzaga gets a stop.
Oh.
Gonzaga can get 2 stops, this game is over. Nobody could stop anybody. We've never, ever, I don't remember in forever a game where we saw 2 teams pushing to shoot 60% from the floor. Yeah. It's not a thing that happens. Like, this game feels, last night's game, was a historically great game, and there's no way we get that Monday. We're not going to have Baylor and Gonzaga shoot shot for shot all night in the 60s the way this happened. It's just not. It's not possible. I don't think Gonzaga on back-to-back nights is going to be able to shoot near a 60% clip. I don't think Baylor can do it. I think we're going to see a more open game. But the reason that I think last night's game didn't feel like the pace was there was one. I mean, it's incredible that UCLA scored 90 points as slow as they played basically, most of the first half that game. It was like, let's run the shot clock down and then let's give it to Johnny Juzang and he's just going to pull up with 3 guys in front of him and just it's nothing. He's going to find the bottom. But I just see Baylor. I think to your guys' point, Baylor Gonzaga has to be a higher tempo game. These offenses are. There's a reason that people were saying it's Baylor Gonzaga the field, right? These 2 offenses are just so much better than everybody else. And then the defenses, obviously we know how good Baylor's defense is. It was talked about all year long that they had probably the best defense, Gonzaga had the best offense, and I think you could easily look that Gonzaga had one of the next best defenses and Baylor had one of the next best offenses. I honestly think this game comes down to which defense plays better because you can't bottle these teams up. There's just no way. There's so much. You could name 5 guys on each side legitimately who, if they had a 20, 25-point night and were the MVP of the game, I would not be surprised. So there's just no way. There's no way you can slow these teams down. So it's going to come down to key stops, and I don't even mean like you get a block shot or you get a key steal. It's going to be like Baylor gets a contested three and they miss it, and that leads to a run out and whatever. That springs the momentum of the game with a minute left. But I cannot see – I don't see a 10-point win for either team. These teams are way too talented. Yeah. I think it's going to be razor thin. We were talking before, the spread at 5 feels ridiculous, and as a Gonzaga fan, I think anybody who saw that was like, there's no way we should open as 5-point favorites. Not because I don't think we're good enough to win by 5, just it feels like these teams are way, way more evenly matched than it feels like maybe America feels like they should be, because everybody feels like Baylor just shit on Houston, which they did. And UCLA was such a great game, and Gonzaga comes out on top, that it feels like Gonzaga should be the better team. But I don't see it. It's a coin flip game to me, honestly. If Baylor wins, I'm not going to be surprised. Obviously, if Gonzaga wins, I'm not going to be surprised. So.
Yeah, no, the 5-point favorite, the 4.5-point favorite as is currently as recording, it seems a bit much. Like 2.5, 3 would have been a lot more reasonable opening, and we probably won't see it change much. It might drop down to 4 tomorrow around game time. But I do think though, like, that it's going to be a 5 or 6 point victory. It's not going to be a buzzer beater. It's not going to be a win by 2, and they missed the final shot to tie type of situation. Right. And I mean, to Connor's point though, or I guess against your point, that Gonzaga is from the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and the Final Four have averaged 55% from the field. And this is something they've done all season long. They're always shoot smart. And Tyler, always talks about how the offense is so fluid. They don't come down and they don't pause or run sets. They run with the guys. They move and they pass the ball extremely well, and they find the right shot. That's why they can shoot a high percentage. So regardless of the defense they're playing great, Gonzaga has not been a team this all year that just takes a shitty shot. They will always find the best shot possible. So I think regardless, even on a bad night, they're going to shoot 45, 50 to 50% from the field. Well, even on their worst nights.
Against Creighton. I think it was Creighton. We had our lowest shooting percentage of the season at 49%. Like, that's insane.
It's stupid. But that's just a testament to how good the offense is and how much it flows.
Yeah.
So even Baylor's on their number 1 game, we're not going to see Gonzaga shoot a 39% from the field. We're just not.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I'm trying to set the expectation as this is like, look, back in 2017 when that team was rolling, minus the West Virginia game, which, like, their offense was completely shut down by what was, I think, a top 10 defense. Mm. I just am setting the expectation that in a national championship game against Baylor, we shouldn't be thinking they're going to come out and shoot 55 to, a high 50s percentage. I think if they're down around 50, that'd be great. I mean, right now, it's 50% against Baylor. I would take it because, they are that good. Their guards are really good. And Mark Few today in his press conference said that the Baylor guards remind him a lot of the Gonzaga guards, and they're probably the best defensive guards they're going to see all year. And I don't think that that's a stretch because Baylor probably has the best defensive guards in the nation. So I don't know. I guess the question is what's Gonzaga going to get against Baylor? Like, what Gonzaga's done all year is layups and threes. And I say threes those are the layups and threes. Those are the shots they get. Mm-hmm. They don't shoot a lot of mid-range. They get points in the paint and 3-pointers. It's like watching the Houston Rockets play. That's what they do. And I mean the Houston Rockets thing is just like it's like this NBA style that they've taken, like mid-range jump shots. Gonzaga, like Johnny Juzang took more mid-range jump shots Saturday night than Gonzaga's taken all season.
And Russell Westbrook, huh?
It's unbelievable. Actually, the whole UCLA team took more mid-range jump shots than Gonzaga's probably taken all season.
And they were draining, which is the most ridiculous thing I've seen. Like, I've never seen a team hit so many mid-range jumpers in my life. It's like they had a team full of Kobe Bryants out there, just hit turnaround jumper, turnaround jumper, turnaround jumper. That's all they shot.
Yeah. When you're talking about, like, matchups, are like, what's Gonzaga going to do that's different to upset Baylor, or just be more consistent from the field and shoot that 50%? When I'm looking at matchups here, like, you got Drew Timme and Thamba down at the end, both 6'10", both equally kind of. Timmy's footwork is exceptional, but in terms of play style, they're going to.
Exceptional is an understatement.
Yeah, but they're going to cover each other up. But when you look at the guards, though, Gonzaga's guards are on average bigger. The person we have not seen pop off and put up the 25, 28 points like we saw Drew Timme did last night at 25, 26 is Corey Kispert. Me and Tyler have been saying all March Madness, there's going to be a game where he puts up 26, 27, 28, and lights it up. When you're looking at the guards for Baylor, the biggest guard they have is 6'5", and Kispert's 6'7". So if in the pick and roll offense of Gonzaga, where they can use Drew Timme and pull Kispert out to the 3 with a mismatch, either on the bigger guy being Thamba at 6'10", or one of these smaller 6'3", 6'4" type of guards, I think Kispert's got a matchup of a lifetime this game. One of probably the best matchup he's probably seen all of the tournament so far.
Maybe, but do you trust Corey to take anybody off the dribble right now with the way he's playing? Because I don't think I do. So I don't think that he's playing at a level where I'm confident he's going to get to the rim. And I'm not saying that because I think Corey Kispert's not a good basketball player. I just don't think he's been able to do it against the defense we've seen, especially this deep in the run.
He hasn't, but I think this is where his 3-point specialist comes out. I think he goes Kyle Korver type of mode here and just he goes 5 from 5 from deep with a couple extras and some free throw shots, and he puts up 23, 24.
So
and
what
you
won't
even
think he's going to do that though, because he's been. I'm not picking. I'm just having a conversation with you. Like,
what
leads you to believe he's just going to go nuts? Because like that's the thing Tyler and I have been talking about. But in these games is like it just feels like last night was a good example. He had that, I forget if it was first or second half. It was a drive from Jalen or one of the guards, kick out. He's on the wing. He stood there and looked at it. I'm like, this is cash. There's no one's within 10 feet of him. And he missed it pretty poorly. Like it wasn't like in and out. He missed it like back on. Right. He's just not shooting the ball well. And I don't know at what point we just have to maybe wonder if it's a confidence thing with him, because that's what happens. Shooters go in slumps. So and as much as I think like if Corey goes off, then I feel like I would feel obviously incredibly confident about the game that Gonzaga is going to win. If Timme keeps playing the way he does and Kispert has a great game, I'm just not sure that it's coming. And the other thing is I'm just not sure Gonzaga's ever going to be reliable from 3. It's just not their game. Right. So the games where they hit a ton of threes, obviously, they're going to blow teams out because they get so many paint points. But then Gonzaga doesn't take that many. They really don't.
That's why. But I don't think it's going to be Kispert from like a spot up, like you say, like a drive and kick out where he's got just a spot up 3. I think it's going to come from the pick and roll between Timme and the guards, where if Kispert's moving and he keeps the offense flowing, he'll get an open in the rhythm type of shot, not just I'm standing here waiting for you to pass, kick the ball out.
We do run a lot of sets forehand, like a pin down screens where they come around the top to catch it, and he's normally like his money on that, and we just haven't seen this tournament. But I think if there's gonna be a matchup where this happens, like looking at the starting 5, it's like kind of seems like the 3 guard spots could all basically cancel each other out in terms of like ability and whatnot. And then same thing with, I think Timme will probably feast on Thamba. Thamba's a good defender, but Timmy's just so good with his footwork. It's crazy. The one big difference here is between Kispert and Vital, where that's going to be the matchup that I think makes the difference in this game if Corey can actually start to hit some shots.
Or even talking about pick and roll though, Butler, Mitchell, and Teague all 6'3", 6'2", 6'4", which even Suggs, Ayayi, and Nemar are 6'5". So they have a small size advantage. Not saying it's going to make a huge difference, but if they get a switch on the defensive side through the pick and roll through Timme, either Timme is going to get a mismatch down low with an easy layup, or somebody is going to get pulled out to the wing on a Kispert. If he's hitting good from deep, that's a mismatch. He can pull it over a guy that's 6'2" instead of 6'7" like he is.
Yeah, but you got to be concerned about the switches the other way. Like Teague and Mitchell, they will take you off the bounce, to the hole. Like we're not talking about just pull-up jump shooters. When we talk, Baylor shoots a decent amount of threes, but like Butler is the majority of those. Teague, Mitchell, Flagler, they will all take you off the bounce. So it's a little concerning, right? Because we've been switching 1 through 4 most of the tournament, a little bit of 1 through 5 on teams that we match up a little better with. But I don't know. Mark Few has switched up his pick and roll defense a lot, right? It's whether he's going to show or trap or switch. But my concern is the Baylor guards will eat switches on Timme, Watson. Nembhard was not good against UCLA defensively. So my concern is that they are going to try to just take us to the hole as well. And foul trouble becomes more of an issue for us than them because they are deep. They bring a ton at you.
They basically have 8 starters, the way that their rotation works out.
Yeah, I don't know that Baylor doesn't run a ton of pick and roll. They run it when Sean Wachacha was in the game because he is the ultimate. He's the guy every team in America wants, right? He just sets a screen and rolls as hard as he can to the rim, and he's either gonna get the pocket pass and try to throw it down, or if the jump shooter pulls up, he's going to try to get the rebound. I mean, to me, it's there's a few things that are important, and chief among them is like we cannot do what we did against UCLA on the glass. That probably was the worst rebounding game Gonzaga's had all season long. They got out rebounded by I think 10. I'm just off the top of my head, but they got out rebounded by UCLA, and
it was 32-26, and UCLA
8.
6 by 6.
32-26. Okay.
Yeah.
26. Yeah. So less than even I thought. They have to be good on the glass. Like Baylor rebounds so well. Mark Vital is not tall. He's big, but he's not tall. He's probably one of the best offensive rebounders, if not the best offensive rebounder in the country. Chamwa Chacha was a great rebounder. Their guards crash. Like if you're lucky enough to get a miss, you cannot give up second chance points against them. And then, I mean, with Butler, it's kind of like we're talking with Kispert. If he's on, you just sit there and he's going to hit shot. We're all going to be looking at it. Jared Butler's going to pull up in someone's face, and we're going to be like, there's no way that's going in, and he's going to splash it down. And then we're going to look up, and he's 4 for 5 from 3 on shots that were like the toughest shots in the world. And I think you got to live with it. Like, there's no way that you're going to stop all these guys. So they've got to be good on the glass, and Gonzaga has to they have to not turn the ball over, because that is Baylor's MO too. They force a ton of turnovers. Their guards are so in your face the entire game, and Gonzaga has done a great job of not turning the ball over, but they were sloppy Saturday, so we'll see. Yeah. They cannot turn the ball over.
Yeah, 10 turnovers on Saturday against UCLA, and then we were talking even in the Creighton game. Yeah. They were higher double digits, 16, I think, if I remember right.
I thought it was 16. I thought they had 16 against USC. Maybe it was Creighton, though. But yeah, I mean, Gonzaga throughout this year has been known to can get very sloppy, because we get very aggressive on the fast break stuff to try to get out and run, and we make mistakes. Luckily, you have someone like Jalen Suggs who plays like his life is ending on every possession. Like, he's on the floor more than I've ever seen anybody on the floor. Yeah. It's really fun to watch that when your most talented player overall is also playing as hard, if not harder, than everybody else on the floor.
It's to me, it just feels like it's going to be the defenses. I don't know. Whoever can take care of the ball. Obviously, the team that forces the more turnovers, which defense can make things difficult, I think, is the thing. And I don't think that this is a game where we can look at percentages and say, oh, Baylor's shooting this or Gonzaga's shooting this. I think it really comes down to just, can you make things difficult? Like, you're not stops is what I've been saying, but that's unrealistic. Like, you're not going to stop either of these teams. There's no way. It's just the firepower is unbelievable. So can you slow them down? Can you go 2, 3, 4 possessions where they get tough looks and maybe only hit 1 of 4, and then you've got a hope on the other end you can keep scoring? Do you think, Tyler and Travis, where do you see this game playing out? Like, in the 80s, in the 70s, where do you see this game finishing?
I'm thinking higher. We're thinking like around 90, like the use of like Gonzaga. I think it comes down. I think it's gonna be more of a few key stops, yes, but I think it's gonna be very much like a shot for shot type of game.
I don't know. I agree with Connor when you said it's not gonna be exactly shot for shot how we saw UCLA Gonzaga. It was back and forth. They both shot 58% from the field, like ridiculous numbers. Stuff you don't ever see in college, especially not in one of the biggest stages in the Final Four game. Mm-hmm. So I see it a little lower. I don't think we hit 90. I think we hit 80, 82, 83 type of area. But I don't. Key stops are obviously key in any game. We can say that about any game, any time of the year. It doesn't matter. I think this comes down to in the finishing of the first half and going into the second. There's always that little slump that a team slows down. They go that 10-5 run or whatnot, or they open second half on that a little bit of an extra run. It's gonna be one of those. If a team slumps down a little bit, they slow down. They're recovering. Their bench is in whatever the situation may be. I think that's going to make the difference. That's why I think it's going to be like a 5.6 victory. It's not going to just be, hey, we're shutting down every shot the last 3 minutes. We're creating a turnover the last 3 minutes. We're getting to the foul line. This situation, I think it's going to be 10 minutes left in the second half. Hey, this team just went on a 10-2 run, 10-4 run, and we maintain. Our defense stays the same, but we popped off on offense for a quick second. and the game goes as continued. But that one team had that one minute
keeps that
small lead. Somebody hits it. It could be a Kisper, it could be a Mitchell, it could be any of those guys. That could be a Drew Timmy, it could be anybody that just go quick, easy 6 points, cut 2 fast breaks, a 3-point. All of a sudden you're up 7 with 8 minutes left in the second half, but the defense and the rest of the offense continues as the game has progressed. It didn't change the whole momentum. It just somebody popped off real quick.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be I could see it. I feel like it's going to be back and forth. Not quite 19 lead changes like UCLA, but I have a feeling that I think you will see runs. I think you could see, a 5-0, an 8-0, but I think those are going to be counter-punched. Like last night, Gonzaga pushes the lead to 7, UCLA scores 5 straight. I think we're going to see more of that because it's just I can't see a team going on a huge run that really stretches the lead for very long. Now, at the beginning of the game, of course, these things happen. Teams, if it starts 10-2 Baylor or Gonzaga, I wouldn't be surprised, right, as they feel it out. I do wonder how much, because we always feel like these games are going to be super high scoring and then they're not. Just historically, I feel like, so there was a video that was posted the other day about the last, from 2010, the national championship games on, and it showed like their last 30 seconds or something. I watched it this morning, and those games, like all of them are low scoring. They're in like the 60s. Now, all those teams can't score, but I don't know if there's something about playing in the national championship game where teams get nervous or just don't play as well. But it is different this year because, right, you don't have the fans on top of you. There's not as much pressure. You're kind of playing in an empty gym like you have been all year. So I don't know what to expect. I know that it's going to be entertaining, and as a Gonzaga fan, it's going to be the most uncomfortable 2 hours of our lives because, 17, right, was the worst, up by 1 at halftime, 3 points with 30 seconds to go, and that's it. Like, the season just ends on a block shot and then, missed shots at the end. But I don't feel like there's ever going to be a point where either fan base will be comfortable because the other team is so good. Like if you're up 10, if we're up 10 in the second half with, I don't know, 7 to go, there's no way I feel good about it.
Yeah, no, that's way too much time on the clock. I don't think anybody feels good.
If we're up 10 with 4 to go, I don't feel good. If we're up 10 with 2 to go,
I feel okay. Maybe a little bit okay. Yeah.
There's not going to be a stage of this game where I feel like either team is going to look back, is going to sit there and be like, all right, we're comfortable. Especially Gonzaga fans, right? Because if we're up any significant number, let's say we're up 12 in the second half, and there's a lot of time, like these guys can catch fire and hit 3 threes on 3 possessions, and
every fucking time.
So, like, is there any point in which we're going to feel comfortable? Yeah, maybe when it's over, but like, I don't know. They're so damn good. Like, it's just a question of can we make life difficult for their guards, because I don't feel like inside, like Drew is playing at such a level that this is no disrespect to Baylor, but it's like, who do you feel like could guard him right now? He's in such a zone and is so good that it's just like, I don't care if you roll out whoever, he's going to score. He's going to get his 20. And last night it didn't look like he was going to get 20 at all in the first half, and he just feasted. So it's guards versus guards in my opinion, and it's going to be which team takes care of the ball and which team plays better defensively, because I just feel like their guards and our guards, I don't think there's a better matchup that you can get in college basketball. I mean, I know as we came into the tournament, Illinois was like getting popular and trendy, and I told Tyler I liked Ohio State. I'll admit it right here. I loved Ohio State coming into the tournament. Yeah. And no matchup of any of the Met teams, even Io DeSumo and Kofi Coburn, and there's just no matchup that would be like this one.
No.
So we'll see. And
the great thing about this game too, it's really the game the entire country wanted to see the entire year.
Because the first time got canceled.
Yeah, and we were so clearly the two best teams all year long. And maybe, for a little bit of time, like Michigan was up there, like they looked really good, but then they kind of fell off. But it was always Baylor and Gonzaga, except for when Baylor came back from their COVID pause. They were a little shaky then. Yeah. And that's why I was a little shaky on Baylor. Like, Illinois looked so good at the end of the year, and Baylor limped a little bit into the tournament because of the COVID thing. They were still coming back from that. And then all of a sudden, like, first game comes out, and all of a sudden Baylor looks the Baylor we saw, almost the entire year. So, but this is certainly seemed to be, like, just marching towards this matchup. And Connor and I talked about when the game got canceled, early, like, way back in, December, when that game got canceled, and they're like, well, maybe they'll reschedule, and we're like a week past the cancellation. We're talking like, no, at this point, it'd be better if they don't play, so we can have exactly